Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about The Expanse, Season 2, Episode 7. It's called The Seventh Man. I just realised it's Episode 7. That was some nice lining up there. I don't know if they intended that, or if it was just a happy accident that it worked
I'd,
out.
I'd, I'd assume happy accident, but
Yeah,
it's nice anyway, as you're saying it, isn't it?
yeah. It didn't occur to me until I said the episode number and then the title back to back that
Yeah.
that worked out nicely. Next week will be the 8 something. But this is going to be full spoilers for the episode, as always. So, yeah. So this episode had two main kind of plots. I would call the A plot the political stuff with Dawes and Tycho and the Belters, and ultimately it's the scientist. That's sort of the A plot. And then the B plot would be mainly Draper on the Martians. A couple of little other bits, but that's the two
They're the
main
main two, yeah.
the main two things. So Jared Harris is back. We haven't seen him in a while. It was nice to see him.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'd kind of forgotten early on. He was quite a big part.
he was kind of. It wasn't even towards the end of the last season. Though. It was more the middle of the season. He was kind of there a lot.
Yeah.
But it feels natural that he's come back in now, and seeing him interact with some of the other main characters who he's not really met before
No, not at all.
was certainly interesting because obviously there's refugees coming from the ship not the ship the moon from Jupiter that got attacked Ganymede at the end of the last
Yeah.
episode. So all these refugees are coming to Tycho, and everyone's helping out. And so Dawes shows up and he's given a bit of a speech along with Fred Johnson, and Fred Johnson's they're trying to decide what their plan of attack should be for the Belters. And Fred Johnson's very much like they're having this summit that on Earth have decided, right, us and Mars are going to have a summit because we need to talk this down because we don't want this attacking Ganymede, who we can tell wasn't either side's fault, but they don't
But
want that
neither of them
starting.
know that
Yeah,
really.
they don't want that starting a war, so they're going to have this summit. And Fred Johnson, let's send a representative of the Belt, and they can speak on our behalf. And he nominates Dawes. He's like, you're the leader of the OPA, you should be the one doing
Yeah,
this.
it's kind of legitimizing the OPA because for most of the first season, at least, they very much seemed almost a terrorist organization with the way they were treated.
Yeah, kind of in a weird sort of middle ground between not quite terrorist yet, but sort of.
But this legitimizes them as an actual political faction that needs recognition.
Yeah, and he seems like he's kind of up for it, and then Jared Harris just kills this scene. He kills every scene he's in, to be honest, but the way he takes everything he says, and he sort of agrees with it, but then spins it, and
Yeah.
gets the crowd on his side repeatedly. He does it with Fred Johnson, and then when Holden steps in and he's like, I was on Eros, no, this is stupid. We can't try and develop the weapon of the protomolecule for your own good. It's a bad idea, so on. And the way, again, he kind of agrees, he shakes his hands, like, yeah, but you're an idealist, and I don't think idealism works out here on the belt. It's a luxury of the inner planets.
He's a born politician.
Yeah, but he's so good at it that it's mesmerising to watch him work, and you can see the swerve coming in his dialogue. You can see where he's
Yeah.
going to turn it and turn the crowd against the other people talking against him, and but it is very good. But he seems very dangerous. Like I think, not that he was ever a cuddly bunny in season 1, but this episode really made me feel like this guy is dangerous. He's going to cause a lot of people to do a lot of things in the name of this cause, and his intentions might be good, but I don't know if.
Yeah, this political legitimacy actually makes him more dangerous because before his followers took him seriously, but now Earth and Mars have to take him seriously if he's going to be a representative, or if this is going to be the situation going forward. They
Yeah.
have to be serious with him.
And at least there's some sort of mild tension with Naomi, because she has ties to the OPA. She's a natural belter, and she clearly is disagreeing with Holden at certain points in the episode, and she's kind of conflicted.
I really like that she called him out on intervening. It's like you're an Earther, you're not helping.
Yeah. Again, it's really murky water. It's like, okay, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, because I also get Holden said to this, he's like, well, honestly, I don't give a shit where I'm from. Like, he doesn't care about these factions. He just doesn't
Yeah.
care, and I can respect that. And then she's like, no, but you're an Earther. You're seen as another group to these people. You're seen as an outsider trying to tell us what to do. And again, it's this. There's not really a right or wrong from either of them. That you see
Yeah.
both sides of it, and I think that's what makes the political stuff on the show so interesting to watch. It's not just clearly villain, clearly. Even though I would argue Dawes is more of an antagonist in the sense that he is clearly breeding ground for more conflict.
Yeah, but he's certainly not an out-and-out villain.
He's not an out villain, but I think the actual debate where there is no right or wrong comes from someone like Holden and Naomi, where she isn't just an extremist like Dawes is, and she's bringing up valid points, but she's at the same time and it's funny because they keep talking about, well, we're sure there's no other protomolecule around, and then they're like, oh, the scientist dude, he's sensing it somewhere, it still exists, and the whole time just Naomi in the background like,
it's just like, I know nothing about this.
Yeah, I don't think. And we find out Drummer is Dawes' daughter. Yeah, unless Papa is just a slang for something else in development, but it sounded like father-daughter to me.
That's what I assumed.
So, which must be conflicting for her as well, because she's like the second in command to Johnson. So
yeah,
this is this weird thing. So at the end of the episode, because he obviously goes to Diogo and he talks him into like switching to his side completely, and he fishes for information. You can see because he goes to Holden and he's like, you came back with almost nothing, and he goes to Diogo. He's going around trying to fish for information. He knows there's something else possibly at play. And he wants the protomolecule, so he goes to Diogo, and Diogo. One little touch I liked about that conversation is he gets in his whole anti-earther things, like even our time is measured by their stats and the way their planet moves around the sun. Like technically, you'd only be getting your first birthday because of where we are, like around Jupiter. Yeah. And I was like, I like that. But yeah, so he tells him everything because Diogo knows they brought back a scientist and all the rest of it. He was there on that mission. And it ends with Dawes taking the scientist for his own gain, with Diogo helping. And that's the only time we get like a proper action scene in the episode. Actually, is at the end when they realise what's going down. Naomi and Alex, who are the only ones in the ship at the time, give chase to the ship to try and keep a hold of him, and they think I
really like that Holden's like, no, look, this has got to be gone. It doesn't matter. I'm not on the ship. Doesn't matter. Amos isn't there. Just go.
Yeah, because part of me was thinking, what are they going to get separated for like episodes now? If they're going to like keep chase with the ship?
Yeah, I considered that as well.
Oh, obviously that's not the case because they think they get him, but it turns out Diogo was on another ship as a decoy, and the actual ship with the scientists and Dawes is long gone. So, and it makes you wonder: did Drummer help them escape?
That's what it's in your mind, isn't it?
Yeah. So we'll see where her allegiance lies, I think, going forward. And again, one of the things I loved about Naomi's stuff is that when they dock with the ship that they've caught and they think it's Dawes and they think it's everyone else, and Alex is like, here's a gun, right? We need to force our way in. We need to take command of the situation.
His Martian background showing.
Yeah, and Naomi looks like she's second guessing every single thing he's saying to her. Like, do I point guns at them? I'm kind of on their side. Like,
yeah.
All well done. All the character motivations are all been seeded well enough that every look that they give each other in a scene like that says something. You really
understand it though, don't you? It's not just a lot of the time. It'll say something, but you're not quite sure. But in this, because you know every character's motivations, you know their backstories, you know exactly what point of view they're coming from. Everything makes sense.
And when we don't know what one of their motivations is, they feel like a genuine wild card. They feel like, oh, they're they're the
what
spark.
Is the purpose of this?
Yeah. And it makes it enticing rather than, I don't understand why anyone's doing anything. It's just, no, there's one that you don't understand and they're the wild card.
Yeah.
Because every team needs a wild card.
Aye.
Always Sonny reference for anyone who doesn't get that.
I was just thinking, can they cut the brakes of a spaceship? Actually, that was something that really threw me off. When they shot the engines of the ship, it just kind of stopped dead. The way it showed it seemed to stop dead, but would it not still have propulsion? That's Newton's laws of physics, right? So it would take to stop it.
I get what you're saying. It would keep going, but I'm wondering if I'd have to watch the scene again to see if there's any sort of like little tells. But I'm wondering if what they shoot it with is designed to.
It could be. It's just it looked weird. It may be just the way that it shot it as well.
I think you could technically cut the brakes on a ship, but rather than cutting the brakes, you'd basically just be disabling all the thrusters in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So you'd shoot all them, and the other ones wouldn't go, and that would stop you. Well, actually, it would make you move back. To stop dead, you'd have to kind of really.
It'd be really hard, wouldn't it?
Physics. I'm not even going to. I got told off in the comments last week for misjudging how long it took to get to the moon. I'm not going to get into this.
Yeah, this may be just something the way it's shot with the momentum. You know, the parachute effect when you film that. It could have been something just like that. It was just the way it appeared. It kind of seemed to
Yeah, yeah.
stop dead. I was like,
For anyone who doesn't get
oh,
that, what you just said, the parachute thing. Every time in a movie when you see someone in a parachute and it looks like when the parachute opens up they go up, that actually doesn't happen. The reason why it always looks like that is because the person holding the camera, who's also in a parachute, is still going down. So
yeah,
just
they're still in free fall.
yeah, so it looks like the person in the parachute that's just open that goes up, but they actually don't. They've just stopped moving as fast, and the other person holding the camera is going quicker.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if it was just something like that, though, in the way it looked.
Maybe. So that gives us the cliffhanger of the episode. Then it's Dawes has got the scientist. They're on the hunt for the proto-molecule, and you'd think that Naomi's going to have to bring up to everyone, oh, by the way, guys, I might not have destroyed that sample.
It's got to come up sooner rather than later, surely.
Yeah, it has to. And the conflict that's going to cause between Holden and her is going to be probably brutal. Probably their relationship is probably going to deteriorate as a result of this lie.
Yeah, because obviously you have that moment where they wake up, where he wakes up when they've been in bed together, as we've seen, and I feel like now we get into that stuff with the proto-molecule coming back up, and she's been lying to him. That's where it's going to have some impact.
Yeah, and I want to point out, Alex is still an MVP. He's still him teaching the kids magic when all the refugees are coming in. Glorious. Amos, of course, had he was only in like 2 seasons, but he's just fun enough. He's just missing at the end of the episode, so he could be anywhere because they don't know where he is.
Maybe he's gone off with the scientist.
He might have, because he was getting all buddy with him earlier, because he had this weird moment with the refugees where someone tried to take a second of whatever he was handing out, and he's like, no, just one at a time, and he knocked down the mother by accident, and then the kid came in and was like, stay with my mom, and it gave him, he sort of, I guess, realised his own sociopathic tendencies in that moment. Yeah. And maybe it gave him a little shock. He's like, oh, wait, why does this kid fear me? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he goes to the scientist and he starts inquiring about, well, so you've basically given up all your emotions and you're just kind of this, I don't know what you call what
Husk.
Husk, yeah. You're just this, your mind's clear. It's like, do you regret it? Did it become permanent? Blah, blah, blah. And he's explaining it. And the scientist actually says, I can do it to you, or it's not a painful process if you were wondering. And he immediately gets defensive. Oh, no, that's not what I'm asking. He's like, well, yeah, that's why are you here? Why are you talking to him? He's like, you're clearly interested in doing this to yourself, so that you. And maybe that is the way they'll go with Amos. Admittedly, if they do go this route and he does sort of wipe his mind of emotions and whatever, I will miss his sociopath tendencies.
I will as well, but I think it would be equally enjoyable because that's assuming his sociopathic tendencies would go away, because a lot of his tendencies seem to be from just misunderstanding the scenario. Like he just doesn't understand. So him not being able to empathize in a more physical sense with this procedure, would that necessarily negate some of these tendencies?
No, but maybe it would remove moments like the one we just saw, where he does have like a, oh crap.
It would definitely remove his realization of such moments, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because the scientist, when he's talking to him, is like, you're wanting things back. You're talking about reminiscing of how you used to feel about your parents and things like that. And he's like, no, the reason why the proto-molecule is such a beautiful organism is that it always moves forward. It doesn't dwell on its past mistakes. It always just corrects them and moves on. And that's what he implies that he should do in it. So I don't know where that's going, but it's certainly an interesting new thread that they bring up.
Definitely.
So we'll see where Amos pops up. So yeah, the other main thing in the episode was Draper, who's been recovered from the wreck of Ganymede. She's on a new Martian ship, new commanders here, and he's trying to get information out of her. And they keep repeating. I mean, it's not always interrogation. The first time it's just at the bedside while she's mending.
Yeah, just what happened.
Yeah, and then again it's like a proper interrogation where he takes that sort of little pill thing that makes them all focused. And then again, this higher up. Kind of, I don't know if you call him like a priest type officer.
Yeah, the chaplain.
Yeah, but he comes in and he tries to talk to her, and then she finally does come out with some stuff, and then but it keeps repeating the idea that she is either maybe not knowingly withholding information, but she's not quick, because early on in the actual interrogation when she's like, the UN fired first, I was like, oh man, she's like, her bias is really coming into play here, because we know there was something else there and she's not mentioning it. But then over the episode she does
It
remember.
becomes clear that she was just not quite remembering it right.
And she's like, yeah, they did fire first, but they weren't firing at us. They were firing at something chasing them, the seventh man, because there were six of them. That's where the title comes from. There was a seventh person behind them. And she doesn't mention the glowing blue eyes, but she does mention it wasn't wearing a vac suit. So we're at this. But obviously the most interesting part of this whole thing at the end, though, is that the commander of the ship comes in and is like, so, right, I heard what happened. So there's going to be a summit at the UN, and they want a first-hand account of your testimony. They want you to go and tell them the story. You fired first.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, that's not what happened. I don't care. You fired first. And so basically, and you get the sense that this is kind of similar to what our old commander was like, where they're trying to avoid war at all costs, and they think by admitting they fired first, it will diffuse things.
They can then apologise.
Yeah. Just admit it, apologise, even though it wasn't what happened. They're trying to diffuse, like, because war is dangerous. Because even at the start, we only see a Viscerella once in the episode at the start with Ehrenreich and the head of the council, and she's like, yeah, like 30 years ago, the blockade was the closest we ever came. It was the closest we ever came to all-out war between Earth and Mars, and the reason why it stopped is because we decided to talk instead of fight. And this is an effort. So you get the sense that even though, like, they are always kind of like, oh, we hate Earth and we hate Mars, like, they're both terrified of a war because it will absolutely cripple both of them if it ever happens.
I agree, and this is why I like the OPA becoming a legitimate political faction, because they can now come in and they have there's a three-way agenda now.
Yeah,
because from their point of view, war might be good. They might come out on top, but if a war erupts between the other two.
Yeah, but they also mentioned that Ganymede because Ganymede was a farming outpost.
It was, yeah.
And they mentioned that some of the Belt will be like hungry now. Like that's ruined their food supply for however long. And so even though like war might be good, but
okay, I think war would be bad in general, but some of them may see it as an opportunity.
Oh yeah, but what I'm saying is that it wouldn't just be. It would affect them badly for a long time before.
Oh, sure.
Like there would be losses on their side just from that. Like the idea that.
Yeah, it would force them to restructure themselves to become more independent from Earth and Mars and function for themselves.
Yeah, because they rely on Earth and Mars for a lot of their supplies.
They do, but I imagine that this situation would force them to reevaluate and restructure everything.
Yeah, but what I really loved about that scene with Draper, and Draper throughout, I think, became a lot more interested in this episode because she was like trying to remember and she was kind of doubting herself. But the most interesting I've been in Draper is at the end this scene when the superior, the commander's telling her, no, you're going to lie and you're going to say this, and he starts like talking after he's like gave her that order, and he's like, is this the part where you tell me a story that justifies that bullshit order? And I'm like, I have never had more respect for you, Draper, than I have right now.
Now like, this is gone.
I was gonna say, because as much as I get where he's coming from, and as much as I do think she has like this strict like bias where she hates Earth and she's a Martian and she's proud and to a fault even, I like that she's true to herself enough that when a superior officer tells her to lie against what she believes is right, she will call him out on that bullshit.
She will, but this is where it gets interesting going forward. Will she still follow the order like a good Martian soldier?
I don't think she will. I think do you know what I think is going to happen? I think we're going to get to the summit. She's going to start telling the story the way they want it,
and then she'll go, "Nah, this is bullshit."
Yeah, she's going to lose her temper in the middle and say, "No, you want the truth? You can't handle the truth." And she's going to,
yeah, that's what I see coming as well. But that'll be very interesting because then she will have to be disciplined because she would have disobeyed a direct order.
I can see like the Martians even like. No, you're an enemy of us now. Like,
did they court-martial?
I imagine.
I mean,
so.
I don't know enough about the Martian military.
Whatever the equivalent
structure.
is, whatever the equivalent of their court-martial would be, you imagine they would do, or they would try to. And what makes me think might happen is she might somehow, some way, end up with Holden and the crew.
That's what I'm thinking as well.
Somewhere.
I can almost see the kind of direction it's going in now that this is the scenario we're at.
And I think that'll be interesting because the way Holden's crew kind of works, and again aligning with his attitude and his beliefs and everything, and how he can't stand this bullshit, this OPA Earth Mars bullshit. He doesn't care about any of it, and it's almost like him and his ship with the others. Obviously, Naomi's kind. They got allegiances, and that's obviously a drama focal point right now. But their ship's kind of outside of all these factions. They're just this one lone wolf, essentially, trying to save everyone.
Yeah, I really like how they're a mishmash of backgrounds, because obviously Naomi's got the OPA, Alex was Martian, and Holden, from
Earth,
what seems to be a fairly wealthy family on Earth at that. And so you have all these different backgrounds, but none of them feel particularly strongly enough to the extent that some of the political figures do.
You've got an Earther, a Martian, an OPA, and a wild card.
Sounds like the start of a bad joke, doesn't it?
A wild card. So I can almost see them crossing paths down the line, and she can fight. And I think if she does have to turn her back on the Martian military, and she does end up with Holden, or wherever she ends up, if it goes through like we think it's going to go through, and she's going to be dishonorably discharged, or maybe just try to be shot, whatever they do, I can see that being a big conflict for her, and her story going forward will be, I believed in this so much, and then it was kind of taken away from me.
And it was exactly like, because she has to be true to herself, but she has dedicated so much of her life to this military.
Yeah. So then it becomes about her realising what her new cause is. What does she believe in now?
I can
see her being lost for a while.
I get that.
Oh.
Structurally, actually, I feel like she's kind of similar to Miller in the first season, in the same way that she has this independent journey, but she has to go off and do her own thing. I mean, Miller was part of the police force. She's part of the military, and then he left, and now maybe she's going to have to leave that. Maybe not by choice, but that arc there, and have to go off and find her own path there.
But maybe that's why this is interesting. Maybe this is like this, because obviously Miller gave us this window into the Belt, into Ceres, and into the OPA. That's where we learned about all that stuff, was kind of through him and his story.
Yeah.
So we're learning a lot about the Martians through Draper.
Exactly. She's playing a very similar role in that aspect.
Yeah. But yeah. So I think that's interesting. I'm definitely. I mean, she's been fine. Like Draper's been fine when we've seen her before.
It helped that she was she's clearly a badass. So it's like, oh, this is cool. Whenever she's on.
Yeah, but it was clearly just some small seeds until we got to this. This is clearly the real start of her story.
Yes.
Because this was clearly the most screen time she's had in an episode. I think maybe the first one had some more, but this was.
I feel like this was still more even.
Probably. I'd have to go back and watch it to actually
it feels like it was more, but like you say, it might not be.
Because they had a lot of introductory scenes in that first episode, so it might, if you actually measure it in minutes with math, it might.
It might.
But
this was definitely the biggest time she had a focus in the episode, though. Even if that had more screen time, she was almost on par with the A plot in terms of how the episode was structured.
So we're in this place now where we have Dawes possibly en route to find the proto-molecule.
Yes.
And we have Naomi in this weird place. We have Earth and Mars at the brink, and we think Draper's going to maybe throw a wrench in the let's just keep the peace. Which, in the fact is, you'd almost think that maybe it would keep the peace to say, no, there was a third thing in there. It wasn't either of us. There was something else.
But no one would believe it. That's the problem, isn't it?
No one would believe it. But this is the thing, though. Like, I think some higher ups might believe it now because they've heard from Holden, they've heard about the proto-molecule.
It's possible. I can see why the Martians want her to keep it quiet, because they go, no, we'll just take responsibility and we'll apologise and we'll work through it that way.
Well, because the Martians don't actually know about all this.
No, exactly.
The Martians are actually the most in the blind as far as the
proto-molecule stuff goes. They just don't want to blame Earth. Don't blame them, because then they'll say, no, it wasn't us. And it'll just go back and forth, and that'll really increase tensions.
Yeah. But no, there we go. That's episode 7 of the Expanse season 2. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. It helps us out a lot. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. You get individual Twitters on the screen there for our general everyday ramblings. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time.